Hersom Acorn Newspapers, publishers of the Greenwich Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
This is the HAN Network, the leader for local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut and beyond.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a radio announcer. I'm a high school football coach. And since I was old enough to stand on the side of a stream next to my dad, I've been an angler. I've fished with bait, lures, and flies. I've fished with spinning gear, fly rods, jigging poles, and tip-ups. I've stood on ice, waded rapids, and been tossed about the deck of a boat. And I want you to love fishing, be it freshwater or salt, heavy flows, high seas, or cutting through a foot of ice, as much as I do, no matter what the quarry, no matter the tactics, no matter the chosen tackle. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman.
Good afternoon, everybody. John Kovach with you. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. Lovely Thursday, late summer. Funny that the Dock Shop presents us because the gentleman who joins me today was introduced to me through the Dock Shop, and he just does some wonderful lures that I would fish with, I would decorate with, I would just collect and admire, and just beautiful stuff. Dick Fincher here. He is with Phase 2 Lures. He brought some stuff here. He had some nice bluefish catches over the weekend with family, and he's going to explain to us how these handmade wooden lures are created. Beautiful stuff, Dick. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, John. Very pleased to be here. Great opportunity to talk a little bit about the lures and give you guys an idea of what goes into them and what they're for. I appreciate the fact that you consider them decorative. They're made primarily to catch fish, and that's what we really want them to do.
I would do both. I would do both. How did Phase 2 Lures come about, and the name? It's an interesting name.
The Phase 2 name I took because I kind of wanted to make a word play on going back to do something the old-fashioned way. So Phase 2 is really a reflection of looking backward and using what we did in the past for the future, and that's why I started making these lures. I really got started in kind of a funny way. I had been experimenting with different kinds of lures, and I had a friend who asked me to help him cut down a tree, and it turned out it was a piece of cedar, and I had just read an article about cedar offshore plugs. And I thought, boy, why can't we make that into a plug for inshore with light and medium tackle? And that's where we got started.
So these are all cedar?
They're all made out of cedar, yes. Yeah. We start with actually an 8-foot piece of 6-inch width and 5/4 thickness, which means it's a true 1-inch thickness. And so I get that ripped up, and then into 1-inch widths. Then I bring it back to the shop and start the work that you can see over here on the front of the table. This kind of shows you the blanks from different stages. The first
right.
one.
Let's work through the stages from you've gotten it now from your supplier.
Right, and I've cut it to the proper length. This happens to be a 4-inch body for a lure that's called a junior. Here's the blank. There's the blank that's marked for cutting. I make a primary cut with the bandsaw. Then I hand carve here. We do the first sanding, and after we sand, then we do a drilling process. Then we put the wire in on this particular lure, on this model, and at this point, it's ready to receive the weight. After it's had the weight, we put in a filler over the top, and then we sand it off. This one is ready for the painting operations that will follow later. And as you can imagine, you've got a primer coat, and you've got 3 other coats of primary finish, and then 2 clear coats over the top of that.
Yeah, I could see painting being a challenge. I don't really know where to even start as far as the challenges go. I guess the first is, how do you center the wire? I
center the wire really with a little mark that I put in the tail of the lure when I start to drill through, and the same thing where I put the weight hole As you can see on this one, the hole shows where the weight will go. I mark those all off ahead of time so that I get them basically in the same spot, because I want the lure to do the same thing all the time.
How much experimentation goes into determining where to put the weight, where to center the wire, etc.? I mean, there's got to be, and there have to be different ones for different lures, correct?
There are. The putting the wire in is basically the same step for all of the lures, but experimenting with the weight, not only the amount of weight, but where you want to put it. I probably made 15 or 20 before I got the weight in the right place, and I got the right amount of weight for that particular body design. There are interesting little things that come up in this. For example, I use a particular diameter of wire, and it just so happens that that diameter of wire fits perfectly when I wrap it into a particular size hole. And I had to learn that by trial and error.
All trial and error.
Trial and error. There was the only way to do it.
And you run into that with fly tying, with lure making.
I'm sure you do.
Etc. Now, we have a video. This is from the Dock Shop. It's by Sono Creative Services that shows you in the workshop. We're going to show everybody that. You're discussing the process through there. So enjoy this video of Dick Fincher and Phase 2 lures and how they come about.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dick Fincher, Phase 2 Lures, Westport, Connecticut. We're sitting in my workshop in the garage. I make hand-carved cedar lures for inshore fishing, and have been delighted to have those be sold through the Dock Shop in Darien, Connecticut. Why I make lures is partly because I love to fish. I love the idea of creating something by hand, locally, with local materials, and seeing someone else catch fish on it. We make a variety of lures for topwater action, for various kinds of swimming, and they're also used for either from boat or from shore, and also in trolling. I happened to read an article about offshore cedar lures, and I thought, gee, that might work inshore if we could adapt them. And coincidentally, this is really a true story. A friend of mine had a cedar tree come down in his backyard and wanted me to help him clean it up. And I said I'd be glad to take the wood, and I cut it up very crudely, made 2 or 3 lures. One of my sons was fishing up off Cape Cod, and he called and said, "Pop, we're catching a lot of fish on these lures, you better get up here." And believe it or not, that's really how the bill strips off all the way along. Having spent a lot of time on the water and trying to observe how bait acts and trying to think like a fish. Fish is an eating machine. They have different times they eat, different things they eat, but they have some certain basic characteristics of the things that they like to go after. And I know that sometimes fish are feeding on the surface. You want to work on that. Sometimes they're below the surface, and you want to work on that. Various shapes and sizes seem to be important, and you get the action of the particular lure by where the weight is in the lure and how you retrieve it. But every lure design that I make and every color that I sell has caught fish before it goes to the market. Most of my lures we work with for probably a year, year and a half, with various people testing them before they go. I want them to know that this lure is going to perform for them, that it's going to give them the action they want, and they're also going to have the satisfaction of working with something that's unique, hand-carved, not mass-produced in a plastic mold. You'll notice on this I've already done one of the eyes. How I did that eye, it's very simple. I take this Q-tip and I dip it into my paint, and I just put a drop on that, like that, and that's what gives you a nice round eye. I very much am opposed to plastic eyes imported from China. I want local eyes that looked like they were handmade because they just do the job the same way. Really, I like seeing someone else catch a fish with my lure. That's probably the biggest satisfaction.
To see more of these products and designs, visit the Dock Shop, 49 Tokenique Road, Darien.
Great insight there, Dick Fincher. In his workshop, video by Sono Creative Services, done for the Dock Shop, presenter of Yankee Fisherman here on the HAN Network, John Kovach with Dick Fincher, who we just saw in that video. You talk in it about really studying fish and how they swim and different actions. Explain how you come up with the different actions in the different plugs.
Well, that's really a combination of three things: the weight and where the weight is placed, and the shape of a particular lure. Here on the table in front of us, we have 4 different basic types of lures. I currently make 17 individual lure designs.
17 different designs?
17, yeah. 17 different bodies. They range in weight from 1/2 ounce. Here, this is a little floating popper primarily for freshwater, but it's also very, very effective on schoolie bass and blues in the spring.
I can see that.
Same thing, this is a 1/2 ounce darting swimmer, which is weighted so that it goes down like this in the water. The floating poppers obviously are up on the surface like this. If you remember the old Arbogast hula popper,
Yes,
the action that they had, I
Those
really
were
tried to
great.
replicate that with the poppers that I make.
They look reminiscent of it. They just lack the big bucktail
Right,
skirt
right.
at the end.
Right.
But it does have that concave face at the front.
Yeah.
And your eye is just a little north of center if you're looking face on.
Right.
Which those were.
Yeah. So we have 4 different kinds of plugs, John. We have the floating poppers over here. We have topwater needlefish, and there's one primary design I use for the topwater needlefish. This one happens to be a 10-inch body, 2-ounce lure that you troll on the surface. If you have a 10-foot stick, you can probably throw this from the surf, but it's a great teaser, and it walks on the surface like that.
Now, what I notice about the needlefish is they're a little more, I guess I want to say, abstract. You're more trying to get close to the look, not one of these ultra lifelike replicas like some people are doing.
Well, I wanted to have the body so that this nose would really throw some water up in the air when you pull it in. You really walk this along on the top. This is probably the most popular of this size and this particular color. This is 1.5 ounces, and it's weighted to swim on the surface. It just really gets a lot of action and a lot of hits. And for people who use a smaller rod, I make the same lure in a 4-inch and a 3/4 ounce version.
Now, before you move on from the needlefish, 2 of those have treble hooks in the middle. All 4 have stingers. Why the difference?
I don't particularly like treble hooks on the body, but when I experimented with the initial prototypes on these lures, I found that they simply swam better with the treble on the body.
Really? How so? More balance?
More balance. Yep. Now, this particular lure, this is called my skimmer. This is a 6-inch body, 2-ounce weighted nose and tail, and it really walks right at the surface. You know how a bunker will splash around the top? It's right in that top edge of the water. And
like they were in Milford all weekend?
Oh, yeah. And this is a lure that you can just really throw a mile out in the water, and it's got great action underneath the surface. One of the things you learn when you're working with wooden lures is that if you vary the way you retrieve it, you'll find out that it has different action. You'll find out which action works best for you, given the conditions at a particular time. Sometimes with these poppers, you want to just throw them out there and let them sit. for 30 seconds maybe, and then pop them. Sometimes you want to walk them fast across the surface. It's just a matter of how the fish are reacting at that time. The largest selection I have of any particular lure is the darting swimmers, of which there are 6 that use 7 actually, counting the small one. And these primarily will swim 1 to 4 feet below the surface because their weight is in the nose. They kind of, it's almost like they walk under the water.
Will they hold that depth, or will you get the down and up?
You get the down and up. You get the down and up action with all of those. These two happen to be the same 6-inch body. However, this one weighs 2 ounces and this one weighs 1 ounce. And I made this one primarily for guys that need to, in a place like the canal, Cape Cod Canal, where they want to throw the thing out 350 yards. You know, they want something that they can really chuck out there. So that's why this one is weighted that particular way. There are a couple here that are a little bit different from the others. This is a flat-sided 4-inch half-ounce lure called the J-fin, and by the way, the red is on the bottom. I don't believe that fish see a lot of color, but I think that they may see red underneath them when they're looking up.
Such a source of debate in the angling community because of,
forever.
I'm going to put a bleeding bait. I'm going to paint red on it, but then, you got to buy red line because they can't see red. Well, how can they see it on the body of the fish and not see it on a line? And
I really think that a lot of that is in the eye of the fisherman. I have a couple of guys who are commercial captains and guides, and one will only fish black lures and one will only fish white lures, and they both catch fish. So pick your choice.
They're all different.
I think it's the movement of the lure more than it is the color. I think the color helps the fisherman decide what he wants. I'll grant you some of the colors you can see much better in the water. I have one customer down in New Jersey who loves the chartreuse because she's sure that the fish where they've got turbulent sand in the water can see the lure better.
A lot of fly tires. That's one of the more popular colors for your deceivers, for your Clouser minnows.
Yep.
Everybody's using that. They say if you're going out and you want to have one fly with you, it's that. You see so many of the factory-made plugs that are in that color.
Yeah.
We're with Dick Fincher of Phase 2 Lures here on Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. We are going to take a quick break, come back, and talk a bit more about these handmade lures that are made right here in southwestern Connecticut.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the Dock Shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the Dock Shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
August means tennis in Connecticut, and the top players are gonna be here. Be there as some of the world's best women compete for the title at the Connecticut Open presented by United Technologies. And the boys are back for the Men's Legends event presented by PowerShares Series with John McEnroe, James Blake, and more. Experience a variety of food trucks, hands-on activities, live music, and so much more for the kids and family. It all adds up to one legendary week. August 21st through the 29th at the Connecticut Tennis Center in New Haven. Get your tickets at ctopen.org.
It's lots of characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Enjoy an autumn afternoon in the garden at the Garden House at Keeler Tavern Museum, 132 Main Street, Ridgefield, for Sweets and Sips, Sunday, September 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. Relax in our beautiful garden setting and enjoy classical music as you sample items from local bakeries, chocolatiers, sweet shops, and restaurants. Wine tasting provided by the area's best liquor stores, wine vendors, and local wineries. Sweets and Sips, presented by Hersom Acorn. Join us for a sweet time. For more information and to purchase tickets, please visit hersomacorn.events/Sweets and Sips.
You're watching and listening to the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. You can listen to us like radio or podcast. You can watch the live stream. If you're watching the live stream, you're seeing me here with Dick Fincher of Phase 2 Lures. And we were talking about these handmade lures that he makes himself. They're available at the Dock Shop, and yes, I said they could be decorative, they could be used. We've got proof of how well they work coming up. These from recently up in the Cape, correct?
Right, about 2 weeks ago.
So let's take a look. There's the, we have a very big blue there. What do we got?
It's probably close to 17 pounds.
And who's holding that?
That's one of my grandsons, Ryan, who's 14. He's about just under 6 feet tall, so you can judge the size of the fish from that.
And I would imagine he was using one of your lures?
That was actually caught on the white version of this little popper, little 4-inch popper. This is just the white with a red face was what that one was.
So that was up on the surface?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and we've got another picture to bring up here. Another grandson?
That's another grandson, John, and the fish he's holding. We got into a nice school. The birds helped us find them, and we caught fish on different lures in about an hour. We had great luck. That particular one was caught on this little 1-ounce, 5.5-inch jointed needlefish swimmer. So it was down just maybe 3-4 feet below the surface. The fish were hitting in the top 3 to 4 feet. They'd come down and grab, or they'd come up and get at the surface. So we had a really interesting variety of what we were catching fish on. We had some other ones that came on this particular darting swimmer. It happened to be in the silver and silver and black version. This is a little bit different. This is a 1-ounce weighted 4-inch plug. The weight is in the nose. Interestingly, it floats tail up when you cast it. And when you start to pull it, it dives down very deeply. And if you stop, it'll drift back up. This lure probably, John, I probably have more developmental time in it than any other one I've made. I made the first prototype of this maybe 6 years ago. And I couldn't figure out how to get the weight right. They'd kind of flop over on the side.
Right. I don't know how you would weight that to have it do that action.
I'm going to tell you that's a trade secret at this time. It was won by a lot of experimentation. But we've got it so that this thing drops vertically when you pull on it, and it'll float back up. And believe me, it really does work on big fish.
I would think you would get the sine curve effect on that.
You might. Yeah.
That's just a great looking lure there. So. All those caught. Now, what were the conditions like in the canal that day?
We were actually on Birch's shoal off of Monomoy Island. So we caught the rip going out, and so we'd go across the rip and drift, and the birds were just working right just at the edge of the rip. So we had to go back and forth through there a few times. That's a little bit different fishing. You get a cast or two on a drift, and you've got to run back and get back in place again.
Right.
But the water action helps you. I have some belief that big fish like turbulent water.
Yes.
And that's what you have when you're on those rips. So there's a lot of bait that's disoriented, and that's why these things, I think, work so well there.
And you get those articulated lures in turbulent water. The action has to be all over the place.
It is. It really is. They're jumping and bouncing and dipping and everything else. Interestingly, not on this trip at the Cape, but on other trips, as well as here in Long Island Sound, particularly off Westport, I've had very good luck with this particular lure, which is it's the same shape, the same body as this floating popper, except that I turned over the weight, put part of the weight in the nose and part of the weight here, so it dives down like this when you retrieve it. As you can see from the lures, I try to be natural on this. I mean, I don't use imported plastic eyes. I don't use metal lips and plastic lips.
Right.
I want to do as much as I can with the real stuff the way that we had to do it in the past. So this surface helps pull that one down. That really has kind of led me to a prototype that I'm working on now. This is a 4-inch body, and what I've done is made the face much sharper, and the weight, again, is in the back side of this thing, so when it gets in the water, it dives and it tumbles and flies around, and I haven't made it commercial yet because I don't quite have enough experience with how it really works. I think it's going to be a great lure. My tentative name for it is Slider, but I'll probably introduce that. Probably it will be next spring. It might be in the fall, but I think will be next spring, just to be realistic. That way I'll have 2 years of working with it.
The shape of the head reminds me of a flatfish or the wobbler quite a bit, with that big pitch and yaw wobble action. Now, all of these made by hand, how long does it take you to do one of these?
That really depends. First of all, I have learned to try to make lures in batches of about 2 dozen. That means two dozen you can concentrate on a particular step. And when you looked at the blanks over here, you realize how many steps are involved.
Yes.
So I want to be able to concentrate on the particular step at a time. And obviously, lures that have a body hook, lures that have an extra coat of paint on the face take a little bit longer to make. The longest ones to make are the jointed lures, because you're really, for example, in this 4-inch, this 13-inch jointed cedar eel.
That's
4 lures made together.
Yeah, I mean, and each descending. It reminds me of a child's train almost.
Well, it's my answer to the tube and worm.
Okay,
right.
That works.
My biggest bluefish on this was 14 and a half pounds, caught 2 years ago, the day after the Bluefish Derby.
Oh, the WICC.
Naturally, the day after, right?
Of course it was. By the way, that's coming up the 29th and 30th. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. So it depends, what you're doing with it, how long it's going to take. But all of these handmade, hand-painted, the eyes hand-painted?
Yes, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And you do that based on your observation of fish in the local habitat?
I do that based on what I can do most easily to make it work.
That works too.
Yeah, but I do stick with the red and yellow for the eyes. No particular scientific reason. It just seems to work. Either a white if it's a white lure, I'll start with a red background and put the yellow spot in the middle. To go back to your question, I didn't really answer the time it takes to make a lure. Typical 4-inch lure takes me about, including all the steps, and keep in mind this could, when you've got paint drying, that can be over a 3 or 4 day period of time.
Yeah.
A lure like that takes me about 11 minutes to make.
Wow.
The big jointed guy, it takes me about 30 minutes to make one of these. So you can appreciate that this is not going to be sold at Walmart on a discount.
No, but actually it's much quicker than I thought, because I'm not a tremendous woodsman. Let's just say that, as far as woodworking goes. Were you a wood carver before you were a lure maker?
Not really. I just happen to be a guy who's fished all his life and was fascinated with the idea of making something that I could catch fish with and that other people could catch fish with.
And these remind me of the big old school freshwater plugs. So maybe rooted in the Hedden, the Decker, if you're from New Jersey. That is that intentional? Was that kind of the inspiration, the old wooden plug?
Well, that's interesting. I grew up in the Midwest where there was a tremendous tradition of wooden plugs, and my first muskie when I think I was 12 years old was on a jointed pikey minnow. And that absolutely was my inspiration.
That's
for
it
this,
right there, because
even
you
though
still
I used
see
the
those.
needlefish design, that's really where that came from.
I can totally see that, and there has to be a satisfaction in making lures the way they were made 100 years ago.
Yep, that's what I want to do. I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it native materials as much as I possibly can. For example, almost all of my tails, and I tie. I'm not the greatest tyer in the world, but I tie all of the tails. Almost all of my deer hair comes from hunters.
I was going to say it's natural bucktail. There's no synthetic on there.
No, I don't put any colors on the bucktail. I keep them natural. And if the lure is a dark design, I'm happy to use a tail that has a little color in it. Sometimes I'll get a tail that has some nice brown or some nice black, and I try to match that up with a lure that would be appropriate for that.
Now, we were discussing red earlier. Red thread used on all those stingers. Is that by design?
Yep. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Incidentally, when you're talking about color, some of the hot colors, like the oranges and the pinks. Now, if you're fishing up in water where there are a lot of squid will actually color.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons for those particular bright colors like that. We didn't talk about it before, but this particular lure, which is the Poppy, and Poppy was one of my very first lures. It's a 6-inch body, 1-ounce darting swimmer. I initially did not make these in a clear finish, even though the offshore lures were clear. However, I had made a couple in clear to show to some of my tackle dealers so they'd understand what the construction was like. And the first tackle dealer I went to happened to be Ted's up in Old Saybrook. And his manager said, okay, I'll take 6 of each of those in the clear. And I had to go back and make them. And it's been actually the clear in this and in the 4-inch lure are two of the biggest sellers.
The natural wood tone.
That's the extra color of the wood. And I try to find a piece of wood that's interesting that has a light bottom, if I can, with a dark top.
Which gives you that appearance of the belly.
There you go.
Why would that work? Why would the natural wood tone... I really can't explain that.
The thing I've observed in the water is that the natural color with the and that's got 5 coats of clear coat on it.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to pick up light. Picks up light, and it's swimming in the top 3-4 feet of the water column, so there's enough reflection there that it kind of stands out, even though it has absolutely, if you're a color nut for fishing lures. You're going to look at that and say, why in the world would I ever try that? But it works, and it catches fish.
I'm torn. The other thing I like about it is the grain of the wood gives it kind of that appearance of the natural coloration of some of the fish.
Gives it some character, too. Yeah.
It truly does, and it makes it the handsome lure that it is.
Yeah.
Now, of your 17 models, and if this is a trade secret, tell me you can't answer the question, how many of each would you make in, say, a year?
I think I'll keep that one quiet.
That's fine. That is fine. But one of the places they're available, you mentioned Ted's. The Dock Shop has them. That's where I learned about them. And
if you go on our website, www.phase2lures.com, all of our dealers are listed. We have, in Connecticut, we have, 12 or 13. We've got over 60 dealers in 14 states, all along the East Coast and in California and actually in Hawaii as well. So all of the dealers are listed there, and if you can't find a dealer near you who's carrying the lures, go to the website, send me an email, and we'll figure something out.
Very good stuff. Dick Fincher of Phase 2 Lures with us on Yankee Fisherman. We're going to take a quick break, come back, talk about bluefish some more. You're listening to and watching Yankee Fisherman on the HAN Network.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the dock shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark Building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersumsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
Enjoy an autumn afternoon in the garden at the Garden House at Keeler Tavern Museum, 132 Main Street, Ridgefield, for Sweets and Sips, Sunday, September 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. Relax in our beautiful garden setting and enjoy classical music as you sample items from local bakeries, chocolatiers, sweet shops, and restaurants. Wine tasting provided by the area's best liquor stores, wine vendors, and local wineries. Sweets and Sips, presented by Hersum Acorn. Join us for a sweet time. For more information and to purchase tickets, please visit hersumacorn.events/sweets and sips.
You're watching and listening to the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. John Kovach, Dick Fincher from Phase 2 Lures has been with us, kind enough to stick around, bring these great lures that just never stop impressing me. I was also very impressed over the weekend. Saturday, my wife and I, some people I know, went to the Milford Oyster Festival. We're walking over the historic bridge in downtown Milford, and this was such a big deal that it became a story in the Milford Mere. The schools of Bunker looked like you could walk across them, and there's a photo up by Jill Dion of the Milford Mere on our live stream. The Menhaden just so thick and right on the surface. Tide was out, and it looked like they were filling the river. They were moving around. They were cycling. They were breaking water. Occasionally seemed like there was some action. I saw some, Dick, that had some battle scars on them. Very readily visible from shore battle scars. And good size bunker. I think it is a good sign for the bluefish tournaments that are coming up in the approaching weeks. Taking a look at those, which of the arsenal you brought today would you choose to duplicate those bunker?
Well, I think that the three that I would try right away would be the skimmer, this 6-inch, 2-ounce lure.
Can see that.
'Cause that's right at the surface. Yep. I'd also try the bunkie, which is built to look like a baby bunker. I would definitely try that. And if they're on the surface, I'd certainly be going with either the 6-inch or the 4-inch floating popper, because they're going to splash and spash, and fish are going to go after them when they're up like that. Those would be the ones I'd go to right away.
If you don't mind my asking, which is the most popular of the plugs?
Actually, we keep pretty accurate records on that, and I post on my website about every month. The biggest individual selling lure we have, and this is from beginning until now, is this 4-inch floating popper, 3/4 ounce, in these colors: the white belly, the blue back, and the red finish. That's the biggest selling individual lure we have.
It's a very popular color combination among plug makers, among fly tires, and I could see that being a very, very handy go-to lure if you couldn't decide what to do, just grabbing that and seeing what happens.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that not every fisherman has a 10-foot stick that he's using, John.
No.
A lot of them are using light, 6.5, 7 foot
Right.
rods with 8, 10-pound line, 12-pound line. And this lure, because of the way it's built, with the weight in the tail, you can throw it a mile with that particular kind of hook setup.
Yeah, you don't need, looking at what you've got here, you really don't need a big 10-foot pole vault pole to get some distance on these.
Well, I personally use 2 Penn Power sticks. One is a medium, one is a light, and it's got 65/50 reversible reels, because I'm a lefty, and sometimes when I've got other people on the boat, I need to be able to switch. But I use all of these plugs, both on the one rod I have hooked up with 30-pound braid, and the other was 17-pound mono, and I use all these lures on both of those rods, and I can cast with anybody with these, So they'll go out for you, and all you have to do is find the fish.
Find the fish and match the action. That's
there you go.
And you spend a lot of time looking at fish as you come up with these actions.
Yeah, I like to. It's not even so much a matter of just looking at the fish. It's looking at the habitat where they are, trying to understand what the bottom looks like. I love to see the sound, for example, or any place else where I'm fishing where you've got tide. I love to see it at different tides, because at low tide you'll discover there are some ruffles in the bottom of the beach off of Southport. You'll discover that there's a rip at a certain place. You'll find out that there's a rock formation that you didn't know was there. And pretty much I think we understand the fish are lazy. They want to lay someplace where the food's going to come tumbling to them.
They want to sit.
That's what you want to get after them.
Right. They want to sit out of the current, find some shelter.
Right.
They're safe from predators. They're safe from the current, and just wait for the food to come by.
So our job is to put the food where they are.
I'm fine with that. That's what we're striving to do. So will a lot of guys in the weeks coming up. We've got this first event is the WICC World's Greatest Bluefish Tournament. That is August 29th and 30th. I know we've got some pictures from prior WICC tournaments that Chris Mancini was nice enough to send. We talked to Chris a couple of times this week. Prizes, it's $25,000 for first place, $10,000 for second, $2,500 for third, and then $500 for fourth and fifth, $200 for the next 10 spots. You get a $200 prize if yours is the heaviest bluefish weighed in at each official weigh station. Registration is now open. There are a number of sites. You go to the WICC600.com website, click on the World's Greatest Bluefish Tournament, the greatest bluefish tournament on Earth. I apologize for that. The Greatest Bluefish Tournament on Earth logo on the main page. That'll get you right there. It's presented by the Port Jefferson Ferry, WICC 600. Going to be a great day. You guys who are out there in that, enjoy it. And then Fishing CT, which is an Facebook group website that we've talked to a couple of times here on Yankee Fisherman. They are starting a bluefish tournament coming up in September. We went up and talked to Mike Majewski at the Bates Motel, and I still love that name, up in Woodbridge about that. Here's Mike talking about the Fishing CT Bluefish Tournament and about how bluefishing's been this summer.
We're at Bates Motel with Mike Majewski. Mike is helping with the Fishing CT Bluefish Tournament. That is September 12th and 13th, two-day tournament, open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday into Sunday. Mike, what's the feeling on the bluefish season so far?
The bluefish season started off really strong. A lot of big fish that we've seen early. Hoping they're still out there for the tournament. They should be. I'm going to hopefully see a lot of big weigh-ins and meet a lot of good people.
Now, what have you seen come into your store here at 26C Selden Road in Woodbridge?
I've seen up to 17 pounders already this year.
Already?
In blues, yes.
And we're only talking in really mid-August.
Right.
What's the difference this year? It's just catch as catch can with the blues?
I guess. I mean, some years we get great years, some years they're smaller, but I've seen a mix from 1 pounders to all the way to the 17s. I'm very, very happy with what I've been catching and what everybody else has been catching.
Any consistency to what they're catching them on?
I've heard a lot of good things about mackerel. That's what seems to be working the best this year. I've had a few guys catch some big ones on the local squid.
Now, what do you use yourself, if you don't mind saying?
Usually I use mackerel.
And are you a boat guy or a shore guy?
Mostly shore. I just don't have the time to get out there between the store and everything else.
Yeah.
So I try to get out there at least once or twice a week at night.
So tell us about the Fishing CT Bluefish Tournament. This is the first ever, by the way.
We talked to Scott. Scott wanted to do something like that because, the WICC one's coming up. We wanted to kind of work with that too, time-wise. So being a new store and to raise awareness, I joined up with them to do this so we can get people in the store and hopefully get some good prizes out there and have a good time.
Now, are some of the prizes announced yet, or we're waiting on that?
I believe the prizes are going to be 80% of the money raised is going to be given out the prizes.
Very good stuff. Now, what are the rules?
Well, there's rules very similar to WICC one. You come in here for the weigh-in. It's got to be between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Sunday, or 6 a.m. Saturday morning to 6 p.m. Sunday. The fish got to be fresh, clear eyes, no partially frozen fish. It's got to be caught in Connecticut waters. There's going to be 3 winners. Top 3 are going to win. And what I'm throwing in too is if you buy the bait from me and you win one of the top 3, I'm going to refund your money on the bait.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can buy the bait here at Bates Motel here in Woodbridge, refund the bait if you're a winner with that bait.
Absolutely.
That's terrific. Now, how long have you been here?
Been here a little over a year now.
And you've got quite a bit, looks like primarily saltwater stuff?
Well, one side's freshwater, the other side's salt, so we're about 40-60.
The name is fantastic, by the way. Anytime we can do a little Norman Bates, Alfred Hitchcock reference in there. How'd you come up with that?
We were all sitting around one day thinking about it, and we tried to come up with a name that was catchy. There's quite a few stores that have catchy names. I said I want to do like Mike's Bait and Tackle. I wanted to do something a little different.
Well, you certainly pulled that off. What are your hours here?
During the week, we're 7 to 7. Saturday, we're 7 to 4, and on Sunday, we're 7 to noon.
So you don't have to be a Fishing CT member to join this tournament, do you?
No.
Just anybody just has to be caught in Connecticut waters,
yep.
Which means you need the marine license.
Yeah, it's a $35 entrance fee.
Yep.
Anybody could join. You go on the fishingnortheast.net and sign up there.
All right, and we'll have a link to that on our website. Mike Majewski, thank you so much for joining us here on Yankee Fisherman.
Awesome.
So there you have it, Bluefish Tournament action coming up on the Long Island Sound. The way we saw those bunker in Milford, it could be an awesome blitz. And with fall coming up, there's 2 things that get you through it, the fall blitz and football season. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and wrap things up on this edition of Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the Dock Shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the Dock Shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at docshop.com.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersumsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
Connecticut Rockefeller Estate is Westchester County's top cultural attraction and is now open for the season. Don't miss out. Go online to hudsonvalley.org to plan your visit. Take a drive out to beautiful Sleepy Hollow, New York, and enjoy Connecticut's stunning architecture, breathtaking gardens, expansive art galleries, and commanding Hudson River views. From world-class art by Picasso and Warhol to expertly tended gardens, there's something for everyone. Connecticut Rockefeller Estate, a national trust for historic preservation landmark.
It's grilling season, and Walter Stewart's Market is your local destination for the finest grill-ready certified Angus beef strip steaks, skirt steaks, 100% grass-fed ribeyes, all-natural pork ribs, Arthur Ave-style kebabs, fresh-cut veggies, delicious grab-and-go salads, chilled rosé wine, and ice-cold craft brews right next door. Walter Stewart's, your fresh local market. 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and shop online for groceries and wine delivered to your door at stewartsmarket.com.
A variety of food trucks, hands-on activities, live music, plus top superstars of women's tennis and the Men's Legends event. The 2015 Connecticut Open presented by United Technologies, August 21st through the 29th. Get your tickets today at ctopen.org.
This is the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman on HAN Network, presented by the Dock Shop. John Kovach with you. Quick word from our buddies up at the Narragansett chapter at Trout Unlimited, TU 225. And I still remember, we started the show. They were like the first people to reach out to me. Hey, can you promote our meetings? Absolutely. That's why I never miss promoting one. This is the last regular Streamside monthly meeting. It's Wednesday, August 26th, 5 p.m. That's up at the RIDEM Deer Check Station in the Arcadia Management area in Exeter, Rhode Island. They go back to the Elks Lodge in Coventry, Rhode Island in September. That lasts till April of 2016. August 26th be a nice informal summer gathering. It'll be pretty much like Dick Fincher from Phase 2 Lures and I did today. A couple of people sharing fishing stories and talking about adventures with fellow anglers. Only the guys up at the Narragansett TU chapter will have a fly rod and other related items available for bidding. And you can fish before or after the meeting, but they are reminding you with the hot temperatures, be a little gentle or maybe avoid fishing that night. If you've got questions, Narragansett chapter TU president is Ron Marifati. He is at 401-463-6162. Dick Fincher, thank you so much for spending your Thursday afternoon with us, letting me sit here and admire these lures, which are just I just loved it. And the fact that they're hand carved just so impresses me. Great stuff that you're putting out. Where can people get more information?
Go to our website, www.phase2lures.com, and on that, as I said before, we have a listing of all of our dealers throughout the United States, and particularly in Connecticut, and with the address and how to get in touch with them. My pleasure. Again, it's these lures are made to catch fish, and that's really what they're for. I would like to make two other comments, John.
Absolutely.
There are folks who say, well, they like the design of the darting swimmers, but they really want a needlefish. One of the reasons I put a split ring on like this, if you want to fish this as a needlefish, just turn the hook around, put it on the other end, and you got a perfect needlefish. Secondly, all of these lures that I'm putting my hand across here, the jointed swimmers and the darting swimmers, are very good trolling lures. Very good slow troll with mono or braid. And this big fella here, if you run wire, let this go down on the bottom. If you want to put a piece of pork rind on the tail, that'll help, but it really does produce on deep fishing with wire as well.
And we talked a lot of salt water today. I could see these having freshwater applications as well.
Absolutely. These two, as I said, are specifically made for freshwater. I happen to have an old ice pond near us. It's full of bass. I will not tell you what the pond is, but that's where
another trade secret, and I would protect that one with my life as well.
That's where I tested these lures, and they just kill bass. So go for it. Freshwater, saltwater, light, medium tackle, from shore, from boat, and if you want to troll, we can take care of you there too. We're trying to give you a lure that'll work for every kind of situation. Thanks very much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That's Dick Fincher, Phase 2 Lures there in Westport, Connecticut, right here where we are. They are making all these, well, no, it's not they, it's he. Every one of these lures he made, and it makes them special and it makes them great. You can get them at the Dock Shop, our presenter, and at a number of other area bait and tackle stores. That's going to do it for this week's Yankee Fisherman. Next week, if you're watching the live show on Thursday, I am off. We'll likely be doing a best of, but that schedule's kind of in flux. So keep your eye on your HAN Network websites till then. Tight lines.
Mama's going fishing, mama's going fishing, and the baby going fishing too.
This is the HAN Network, the leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Yankee Fisherman is presented by the Dock Shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien. Visit us at dockshop.com.